All right, so Ed's going to play this crazy music, and Kimberly, I'll explain the Punch It Up segment in about a half hour, and then you'll come up here and you can perform for the folks, whatever, just be comfortable, and then you'll grab the mic and come over and sit with us, and then we'll give you some feedback. Do you know Alonzo? Ah.
Kimberly, this situation isn't awkward at all. All right?
It actually...
doing stand-up for 5 people and a guy
on the couch. This is a big crowd. There's six,
right.
7 people in here.
Don't be nervous.
8, 9, 10.
I don't know if I should face
the 2 people in the back,
like this
they
place.
work here, just so you know. They work
God,
here.
this is going to be a fun time. Start now, Ed.
All right. When you hear the music, we're rolling.
I'll guide you all. Don't worry. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another exciting episode of the FlappCast, Behind the Funny, where we talk to our headliners and find out what goes on behind the scenes at a comedy club. I'm Barbara Holliday.
I'm Joshua Snyder.
And we have the amazing Alonzo Bodden with us this week.
Thank you for saying my name right. You'd be amazed how often they get that wrong.
Oh, I said it right.
Yes, you did.
From the last comic standing, from clubs all over the country, from corporate events, the host of every Comedy Central roast I know, and how many...
Now you landed on thick. I've never been invited to a Comedy Central roast.
Shit.
I've only been I was in the audience for the Saget roast, but that was it. I've never performed. I've never, no.
Well, fuck those guys then.
Well,
what the hell?
It's a different world.
But you do host a lot of television.
I do host things, and I'm on Mind of a Man on the Game Show Network, which is great. And I'm on Wait, Wait, Don't Tell Me on NPR quite often.
Ooh, wait, don't tell me.
There you go. She added a wait.
I should know that show because my partner Dave Reinitz probably listens to that, and I don't.
Yeah,
but I know.
It's okay, but it's a fun show. I love doing it.
What? When does that air? So
Saturday. Well, It's in syndication around the country. So in LA, it's like Saturdays at 11 in the morning on NPR, but it comes on all different times. It's one of their #1 shows. Over 4 million people a week.
Oh my gosh! Yeah. Well, that keeps you busy, right?
Yeah.
Do you just show up and do it, or do you help
we do them,
produce it?
The main studio is in Chicago, so I'll do a few a year in Chicago. Then I do some of the road ones. So in May, I did one in San Diego, and at the end of this month, I'm doing one in San Francisco.
I've heard that format before. Where when you go in, do you have to prepare to that show, or do you just go in?
You can't prepare because we don't know what they're going to ask.
Oh, wow.
It's a news quiz show, and people always say, "Well, do they send you the questions in advance?" And it's like, no. So your only preparation is a general knowledge of the news. But there'll always be something that they ask that I'll know nothing about. There's always at least one question where I'm like, huh? Is that when did that what? But it's really fun.
Who is V. Stiviano?
Yeah, exactly. V. Stiviano. V. Stiviano is a gold digger that was treated unfairly. She did nothing wrong. She's a gold digger. You threatened to cut off the gold. She ratted you out to get more gold. How is that wrong? Who goes out with a gold digger and says, she might turn on me? Hell yeah, she's gonna turn. You don't take away the money from a gold digger. You got a gold digger. You can, but in the end, they're making $2 billion. The bad thing about that, racism is now profitable. You know how bad that is for every minority. Just my company's not doing well. Well, I'm gonna drop some N-bombs. Yeah, that should raise the stock price. Do I have to say N-bombs because it's a podcast?
Hell yeah, you can say anything.
I can say nigger?
Right, you're black.
No, because GM is having a problem with all these recalls, and they'll just be, we ain't selling Cadillacs to niggers. Wow, the stock rose. So, profitable racism is not a good precedent.
Yeah, agreed. I know. That was the whole situation. So that's the kind of stuff you're doing on the show,
well,
really, right? Or
to an extent. But we would talk about if they talked about it on Wait, Wait, they probably wouldn't talk about V. Stiviano as much as they would talk about. No, it's NPR, right? So NPR takes a more liberal approach, and NPR tries never to hurt anyone's feelings. But they would. We did comment about Sterling when it was going on.
Right. Excellent.
Yeah.
So are you working on any big projects right now?
Yes, I am working on a book.
You are?
I'm working on a book.
What is the book called?
Right now it's called The Jester Lives. I love jesters, as you can tell by the tattoos.
Tattoos,
Jesters everywhere.
lovely.
Started with the big jester. I'm showing visuals on the podcast.
I never saw these before. Are
because
these new?
No,
Oh.
these
Yeah,
go
they
back
don't look new.
over the past 10 years. But the jester, the thing I love about the jester is he was the only one allowed to speak truth to power. He could make fun of the king, but if it wasn't funny, the king would chop off his head. And I love that. I think that's what comedy should be. You're allowed to say anything, but if it's not funny, then you're dead. You know, like that. We need those. So anyway, so this book is going to be about the arc of my life, starting at the low point, which was my drug addiction, and then which you didn't know about. Look, she looks all shocked. I've been sober, clean and sober, 26 years.
No, I did know about that.
You knew about
from,
that. So,
yes, some of the groups that you brought to the shows before and such. Yeah.
So
awesome.
The book's going to start at that low point. Then it's going to show who I was and what I did prior to that. And then the bulk of the book is going to be from my sobriety, and my comedy career started at 5 years of sobriety. And from then until now, the arc, you know, up to including Last Comic Standing and then the comic I've become since then. So it's going to be really good. And the story of how the book came about is very cool because, as you know, and Josh, you know somewhat, but Barb, I know you've been around this business, so you know.
Are you saying I'm
after
old?
a show? No, just after a show, right? People always come up. They're like, "Oh, you should write a book. You should do this. You should do that." Right? And this is Hollywood, right? So everybody's doing something else, right? So whenever they say that, you're like, "Yeah, you're full of shit." Who is that? Blah blah. Right? Honestly, yeah. I want to make a movie. Yeah, sure you do. Get back in the cab.
Right.
You know. So this woman came up to me and she said, "You should write a book." And she said, "Here's my card. You know, look me up and give me a call." So I Googled her. She co-wrote The Pursuit of Happiness, which became the Will Smith movie. She co-wrote Antoine Fisher, which became the Denzel movie. She co-wrote Dwayne Wade's book on fatherhood. So I called her up and I said, "We should really write a book. We need to write a book. You and I need to get started on a book." So we just finished the outline and the sample writing, and that the agents take that to the publishing places, and we'll make a deal, and then I'll be writing a book.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, it
What a
really
great
is.
Story.
It's amazing that someone in Hollywood wasn't full of shit.
Yes,
You know, that you're literally amazed when someone in Hollywood says
Does
they do something and they actually do it. You're like, "Oh my!" I was taken aback.
Yeah, I would be too.
Yeah.
Can I have her phone number?
It's like me telling someone I'm a comic and then they Google me and they're like, "I'll be damned, he really does comedy. He doesn't drive for Uber."
Yeah. So I didn't know that you got started though after 5 years of sobriety,
Yes,
right? So
yes. I started sober, and the other thing is I started in L.A., which
Unusual.
you know, if I had been, I didn't know I wasn't supposed to. I was quickly taught you don't start here, but I'm so glad I did. You know, the advantage of starting, I think, sober, besides just not being
Remembering
on
your
drugs,
drugs.
remembering your drugs. Is that that whole negative party side of it that gets people in trouble? I had already done that, so there wasn't any lure to it. Like, "Hey, we're gonna do some cocaine after the show." Really? Come back in a few years. You know, like I've already been there, so I never had that issue in comedy to deal with. It was easy for me to say no because I had been there. And the great thing about starting in LA is you start with the best. So you like right away, I mean, early on, I'd be on stage, and like when I was a doorman at the Laugh Factory, one of my first jobs, and I would get fallout spots when people didn't show up. So I might go on, late at night after Chris Rock. I used to watch George Wallace, Dom Herrera, and Damon Wayans there all the time. Like, that was my education. And then they throw you up there, and you don't get to say, "Hi, everybody, I'm new, so I'm not going to be funny." No, you better bring it. It was beautiful. It was a great education. Whereas if you start out in Kansas or, Iowa or Wisconsin or something, like, you could be the funniest guy in Wisconsin, but you're still going to have to come to New York or LA and then get introduced to the big leagues. So it was a great education to start here, and
Did you actually do a recovery room first, or was it actually
No,
a
no, I
comedy
didn't.
club?
No,
Just
it was
curious.
always two separate things. Although I've always done shows in recovery, like I've done, fundraisers and conventions and stuff, and I love doing that. And when I do those, I have inside jokes,
Yeah.
because I am a member of the fellowship. But I didn't. No, it wasn't like I practiced there. I think I found my sense of humor there. My sense of humor changed as a result of recovery. But
How so?
well, before I was probably angrier, and the big difference was my sense of humor used to be a tool of separation. So I would use it to deflect attention from me. I would use it to belittle other people, and so on. And when I got sober, the guys who helped me get sober, they laughed at me until I could laugh at myself. And some years in, this one woman who had been a friend of mine, it was about 4 years sober, she said, "You're not angry anymore." And I think that's what changed. And the other thing was, a lot of them worked in the entertainment business. So they made the entertainment business real. Because, if you're not in the entertainment business, right? I used to be in aerospace, which Lockheed used to be, just on the other side of the 5. And I'm saying this for the audience because some of them here are young and you don't know it. Like, they employed 20,000 people. It was a huge thing that's not there anymore. Like, there's
Right,
no
nothing.
remnant of it except a mall with a fake airplane, But the point being, when you come from that world, the idea of going into entertainment it's not real. But the fact that I met people who worked in it, and they were mostly behind the scenes people, the lighting, wardrobe, makeup, grips, people like that. But they were like, yeah, it's a job. Like, go do it. Like, you can do this. Like, there's no blueprint. You got to hustle, but you can get into the business. So they definitely helped me.
Did you do aerospace jokes at first?
No.
what was your-
I started when I was teaching in aerospace. That was my last job. I was training new mechanics, and I had fun making them laugh. And I could do aerospace jokes there because they wanted to get into the business. But when I went to clubs, no, you can't do aerospace jokes in clubs because people don't know enough about an airplane. You know what I mean? Like, there's no, if I do a joke about how a landing gear works or about the acidity of hydraulic fluid, see, the crowd's like, what? Huh? You can't, so no, you
remember the bit about the hydraulic fluids?
Yeah,
Oh,
they didn't cross over.
right.
But
See, I want to hear more about that personally.
Hydraulic fluids?
Yeah, the
Yeah,
acidity,
I know.
that sounds interesting.
do not get it in your eyes. And if you do, here was the funny thing. You know what they splash in your eyes? Milk.
That's how you rinse it out?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, because milk neutralized the acid.
Was it non-fat or?
Back in the day, we didn't play with no 2%. Our milk was milk.
What if you only had soy milk or like the almond milk?
Yeah,
Would that
no,
See the problem with the young hipsters?
Pussy milk. Pussy milk.
You'd be blind. You'd be a blind soy milk drinking hipster. That'd be in
That would
skinny
suck.
jeans.
I'm thrilled that you think I'm hip enough to be a hipster. This is the first time that's
I just throw that whole.
I love that our
Millennial.
listeners are getting great tips in case they ever get hydraulic fluid in their eyeballs.
If you as a passenger get hydraulic fluid in your eyes, something's gone horribly wrong. Like, that is the least of your problems if you're exposed to hydraulic fluid as a passenger.
Well, this reminds me, like, I imagine you were the best trainer, though, because you did use humor
Oh,
in
yeah,
there.
it
It's
was-
like we teach traffic school here, and everyone's always surprised. It's like traffic school, but
I
it's
did
all
that.
comedians teach traffic school. You taught the traffic school,
Yeah,
too?
I taught traffic school for a couple of years. That
Oh,
was
it's awesome.
that's used to be one of the rites of passage as a comic.
Yeah.
Like, that was one of the day jobs you got, teaching traffic school. And I'd always remind them that I'm the only one here getting paid. Like, you paid to be here and you're suffering. I'm getting paid and I don't have to do anything. I don't have to do anything. So I always, you got to let them know that you're on a higher plane. Establish that right away. You know what you don't get in traffic school?
What?
Hot women.
Oh.
Hot women don't
you're
get
right.
tickets.
You're
I
right.
had there was this one woman that came in twice. I had it happen. One of them, I knew her from my gym. She's like a fitness trainer type, really sexy, hard body type. And I'm like, Danny, why are you here? And she's like, she looked right at me. Woman cop. Woman cop. My powers didn't work. You know, and then I had another one, tall, just absolutely striking, and we're still friends to this day. We met when I taught traffic school, and she came to some of my comedy shows, and it's, I don't know, 15 years later, and we're still friends. But I was always like, why were you there? And she would always be, oh, pretty women get there. It's like, no, they don't. But she did.
Yeah, it's interesting. The live traffic school is kind of dwindling because of the online, but I don't think it'll ever disappear because
Yeah, because people will always wait till the last minute.
Yeah.
Like, I got to do it Saturday, so I have my thing Monday.
Right.
You know, so.
Yeah, so we'll always, you can call us for traffic school if you're listening.
Call Flappers.
Yeah, so you're a big motorcycle buff as well. I'm not sure a lot of people know about. How'd you get into that?
All my life, ever since I was a little kid. One of a great interview question I was asked once, and you can use this in future podcasts.
Oh, thank you.
Is there anything you dreamed about as a kid that you actually do as an adult? And for me, that was motorcycles. When I was 7 years old, I rode on the back of a motorcycle. It was the greatest thing that had ever happened, and I still love it that much today. So I have different bikes. I call them my escape vehicles. I've thought of more jokes and things that I write. Like, it's a creative space to me. When I'm alone in my helmet riding, it's like my mind opens up. I love it, and I love the technology of bikes. I love the looks of different bikes. I love the culture. I go to motorcycle races and motorcycle shows, and I love hanging out with riders. I'm in a documentary called Why We Ride, available on Amazon for $5. But really, it was a great documentary, and they had heard about me because of one custom motorcycle I own that had gotten a lot of publicity, and they came to interview me, and we just really hit it off, and the interview went great, and I ended up being used in the documentary. So
what's a custom motorcycle?
Well,
I don't even know.
The particular one. Well,
Tell me.
that you know, a motorcycle comes a certain way from the factory, right? And then
Is this like a Harley specifically?
no,
or no?
And I'll talk about the Harley thing, because the Harley thing is very, very interesting.
Yeah.
But it's a Ducati. It was a sport bike, and I crashed on a racetrack. And a friend of mine who builds custom bikes, he said, "Hey, let me have the bike. I want to build it." And he rebuilt it, and it just came out to this beautiful, exotic Italian sport bike. And this TV show called Cafe Racer featured it on the show, and a couple of magazines featured it. Like, this thing is really one of a kind. And I joke, like, the bike has actually become more famous than me. It's getting, the bike's in SAG now. But anyway, a lot of people saw it, and then, but you personalize bikes. You kind of make it your own. So I have the Ducati, and then I have a Triumph, which is a big road bike that I did some work on, and that was another one where the people at Triumph saw it and they were like, "You did that? Nobody does that with our bikes." I said, "Yeah, I did." So we became friends. So the thing with Harley is, whenever you say motorcycle in the United States,
everyone
thinks Harley.
Right.
That's the first thought they have. Now, worldwide, it's not true, but in the U.S., that's what it is. I've never owned a Harley because I'd never been a Harley guy. Because when you get a Harley, there's a whole culture that goes with it. A whole, I'm loud, I'm a badass, right. They wear leather chaps, and you can't be a badass in chaps. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, if no man in chap, like, that's where you like, see, you're wearing chaps. Sit down, be nice, But I get it. There's a lot of Harley riders are very cool. They're not all posers and assholes and stuff. That's a percentage. But anyway, last year this Harley came up, and I joked that only I would buy a Harley from a Ducati dealer. But the bike came up at my friend's Ducati dealer, and he was like, "I don't know what to do with it." And then I ended up buying it, and I took it to the guys from AIP, who we did the benefit for here last year, right? And it's almost done, but they're building this really cool Harley out of it. So now I'll finally have a Harley after all these years. But I'm not wearing chaps, and I don't have any. No, I do have a T-shirt. My T-shirt doesn't say Sons of Anarchy. It says Sons of Arthritis. Getting a little older.
How many bikes do you actually have?
Right now,
I'm curious.
Let's see. I have 5.5 bikes.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, and I'm actually picking up a bike tomorrow, so that I will have every country covered. Tomorrow I'm getting a BMW, so I'll have an American Harley, a British Triumph, a German BMW, an Italian Ducati, and a Japanese Honda. So that's the
Is that the half?
that's the half. Yeah.
Hey.
Because it's small.
It is.
Tiny, tiny.
It's called the Grom. It's a little
Hey, that's
125.
racist, right?
No, it's a little 125cc mini bike. It literally is this big. It's tiny. And the reason I bought it was my dad never let me have a mini bike when I was a kid. So those of you checking the podcast, go to alonzobodden.com or go to my Facebook page, and you'll see pictures of me on my Grom, on my little mini
And
bike.
you actually, because you're a big guy.
I
How do you
ride
fit on that
it. We
thing?
take it to the. We race them on go-kart tracks because it's small, so you got to go on a go-kart track. But yeah, it's a blast. And Honda, the funny thing about that bike, Honda brought it over. It's kind of in Thailand. It was really popular because in places where they ride scooters, it was really popular. They brought it to the U.S. and they thought it would be like college kids would buy them and learn new riders learn. They can't keep them in a dealer. This thing it's a hit. Yeah. Everybody and the people buying them, they're not the new kids. They're people like me. Like they're selling as many of them to people over 40 as they are people in their 20s. Even Honda's like, we had no idea. Bring in another boatload. But yeah, it's really fun. It's fun to ride a mini bike.
I used to ride a little 100 dirt bike,
there you
actually.
Go.
It was super
so you
fun.
can ride a Grom.
I only wrecked once.
I stayed in the house. That's
Yeah.
what I did.
Josh has never been on a crotch rocket at all. Where did that term come from, crotch rocket? What the hell?
Because it's really fast and it goes between your legs. I never liked
know,
the term.
but
I never used the
it's
term
kinda
crotch
weird.
rocket. I've always
Yeah.
thought of it as kind of derogatory. I think it was originally derogatory from Harley people, but they would only see them from the back because
Right.
the slowest Japanese bike is so much faster than a Harley.
You sound like the Jay Leno of motorcycle. Like you have a collection that you're establishing.
I am to Jay Leno what an open micer is to me. That's how big a difference there is between me and Jay in the car and bike world. This is how I'll explain the difference between me and Jay. I can call Honda, I can call Indian, and certain dealers, and they'll loan me a motorcycle. I say, hey, man, I'm in town, or I want to borrow a bike for a week, so I can borrow a bike. They give them to Jay. You see the difference? They're like, Jay, we have one here. You can have it.
Take it.
As a matter of fact, take two. You might have a friend. But Jay is a phenomenal guy. Like Jay, as you know, he has 3 hangars. 2 of them are full of cars. 1's full of motorcycles. But Jay is not this is what I love about Jay. Jay's not some museum collector who has a ton of money and a bunch of stuff is sitting to him. Jay drives and rides all of his stuff. That's what we have in common.
Yeah.
If I had more room, I might collect more. I don't really have the room to keep them, so I tend to buy and sell. And Jay, I read one time where Jay said he knows people who have regretted selling things, so he's never sold anything. He just keeps them. Now, in some of the things he keeps are worth a ton of money, and he's made money on them appreciating. But and it's not just Jay. I mean, Jay's the motorcycle guy, but like Adam Carolla is a huge car guy. A lot of people don't know it. I didn't know what a car nut he is. And he has some beautiful classic race cars and classic, he races them, he does vintage car racing. So there's a lot of guys into it who are gearheads. Alanis Morissette rides.
Oh, really?
She rides a Ducati. Yep.
A Ducati. It just sounds like, I like that name.
Women like Ducatis, but they're Italian and expensive.
Oh,
I don't know what that is, but it costs a lot. He's cute.
What who Ducati that I don't Ducati?
There you
I don't
go.
know. That sounds fun. Are you building a collection? Is that what you're doing?
I'm not consciously building a collection. I just, I've been fortunate enough to have the money to buy bikes that I like. Could be not having kids. No kids and no wife gives you a larger disposable income.
Yeah.
Look, there's a guy back there.
Words of advice.
There's a guy in the audience like, yeah, I know if I could get rid of 2 of these, I'd have a Harley. No, it's not advice. It's just kind of, the way it is.
I know. I bought a comedy club.
There you go. See?
No kids.
Actually, it kind of brings a question that I was meaning to ask a lot in these, which is how do you balance dating with comedy as a general rule?
Well, comedy comes first. Comedy is the number one woman in my life. Comedy is the mistress. So it's difficult. You have to find a woman who gets it, who gets what we do. And because I work the road a lot, some comics don't, but I do. I work the road a lot. So you need someone who understands that you're going to be gone. when I was in a relationship going into Last Comic Standing, and after about 3 months after the show, when I was working all the time, she said, "Can I get a surrogate boyfriend for weekends?"
Oh.
Because I was never home on the weekends. She was like, I was like, I don't know what to tell you. But, you know, it's a trade-off. Some of us make, some don't. Some comics, Darren Carter, right? Great relationship, great family, really happy. And this and that.
Great act,
and then,
thanks to the kid.
Yeah, and then some it ends horribly. I have a lot of friends who are musicians, jazz musicians, and for whatever reason, these guys tend to get great wives, like just solid women who are their partners. And I said, yeah, jazz musicians seem to marry good women. Comics, we like really hot psychos. We do. Barbara, you've seen it. You know it's true.
I am one.
Comics like hot psycho chicks, and we're like, yeah, this one will be different.
Yeah.
You know? Oh, this one, you know, she stopped stripping, so it's going to be okay. And I don't knock them. We're kindred spirits. Comics and strippers are kindred spirits. You know, I know women who do porn, and it's like, I get it. It's just, you know, it's one of those things. We laugh about it because it's so different than what people think, you know. And if you talk to any woman who works in that business, and I'm not talking about the sad stories, drug addicted or abused or any, I'm talking about the ones who just like, it's what they do. Like they're so separate from it that it's almost funny when they talk about it. Like if you're sitting there and she's talking about her last anal scene and you're like, wow, really? Like, because to them it's like going to work and you're like, yeah, okay. All right, that's what you do. But it is what it is. I don't know. I don't judge. It's one of those things.
Did you see that there's a woman on HBO or something that does like stand-up nude? Her name's like Katie something or other, and she literally does like a nude stand-up.
They have
it's
a
really
funny
weird.
porn star. She jokes a lot, but I never seen one. Nude stand-up's not going to work.
It doesn't. I was just about to say. I mean, obviously, you're not listening to a word that she's saying. How
Although,
can you possibly?
I have done stand-up in nudist colonies, but I was the only one clothed.
Wow.
What's that like? That's got to be one of the strangest
Remember when
gigs.
that Seinfeld episode about good naked and bad naked?
Yeah.
There's a lot of bad naked in front of you.
Mostly bad. I
But
would say mostly bad.
Honestly, after 5 minutes, like you're past it. You know, you're not looking down. You're not checking them out. They're just naked, and you're just doing your act, and then you know, do 20 and leave. Or stay. It's up to you.
How much do they pay at a nudist colony? Where's their wallet?
It's a corporate gig. Oh, you get a check going in. Yeah.
Oh,
It
good.
was
I
all
get
right.
that.
It was all right.
Wow.
Wasn't a lot.
So at corporate, do they have briefcases? Or
I know. Yeah. I gotta hook that up.
Josh is new at this.
Yeah. He is new
I
at
know.
this.
I could tell by that.
Yeah.
I like picking on the kid.
Yeah.
He's got hope. We'll destroy that. It's one of the first things you have to remove to make a comic any good.
That's right.
Yeah.
Hope and dreams.
Yeah.
Basically.
Yeah, we crush that. We love
That
crushing
shit.
that.
Yeah.
So.
I'm concerned he thinks I still have hope. I didn't know.
Yeah,
thought
you
it was-
do. I could tell.
Really?
Just
Yeah.
by your physical, you can look
does.
physically. You're like, yeah. Just
I'm in.
relax.
I'm in.
Okay, so
Take it down a
you
notch. Shit ain't gonna get better.
all right.
So, Alonzo, you also do a lot of fundraising, which I just want to say thank you. I know last year we were just talking about we did a fundraiser
We did
here.
a fundraiser for Courtney, who is still undergoing some surgeries, but doing a lot better. She may come to the show this weekend. She's having a surgery today, and she said if she feels up to it, she'll show up this weekend.
A young lady was in a motorcycle accident.
Yeah, tragically, she lost a leg and some major organ damage, but she's alive. She's
Yeah,
here.
and
So-
we raised some funds for her last year, and hopefully we'll see her because Alonzo's headlining here this weekend in Burbank. A rare treat. We get him like once a year. If you're listening and you have a chance, please get a ticket. And actually, this is amazing. We're open on July 4th this year, which is very strange. but
Right, it is. It's
on
an
a
odd day, but it's cool. It'd be
Well, it's a
Friday night
Friday.
shows.
Yeah,
So you
and-
come to the early show, then you
That's
go
right.
out and watch things blow up, or you've been watching things blow up, and then you show up for the late show. We left them a window.
we did.
You
Good
scheduled
idea,
it for
right?
a fireworks window
Yeah.
in between. Yeah, it's going to be good. So I'm looking forward to it.
And we're gonna make fireworks on stage too, right?
Well, not technically because you're not licensed for that sort of
Oh,
thing.
well,
You remember that, right? When Bobcat did that on the Tonight
No.
Show?
Oh yeah.
Bobcat did a pyro
I'm giving
thing.
away my age, but yes.
And he got in trouble.
Didn't something catch on fire?
Yeah, he
or
got in
something?
trouble
Yeah.
because they weren't licensed for pyrotechnics on the Tonight Show stage. So it was like,
Stick to the comedy.
So no, Barb, I'm not firing off explosives.
Sprinklers? I mean,
You're in no way
sparklers?
licensed. You're in no. I'm not
Nothing?
getting sued.
Little pop rocks?
Yeah.
Something?
Yeah, this podcast will disappear, and she'll be like, I didn't know he was bringing explosives.
So, well, Alonzo, you have so much experience. We would love to have you help us with our segment we do here on the FlappCast called Punch It Up.
I will.
Where
I'll be glad to help.
we invite a comic. We have actually an amazing comedian today who's joined us, who's gonna do 3 minutes for us, and then we're gonna give her some feedback, maybe tag some jokes, punch it up a little bit, and then we'll wrap up and talk about the rest of this weekend.
All right,
How's that
let's do
sound? So Joshua, it's
All right.
the amazing who coming
The amazing
to the stage?
Kimberly Clark.
Yes, Kimberly. You're gonna hear like an applause sound at the end of the 3 minutes. Coolness? All right.
Hey, Josh, you're working that color. I just like to acknowledge the blue. I've never seen you in that, so you look nice. I'm not flirting, but I'm just acknowledging. Yeah, my name really is Kimberly Clark. It's the name of a toilet paper company. Some fool asked me if that was my stage name. I was like, no, it really is Kimberly Clark. If I was going for toilet paper companies, I would have went with like Georgia Pacific, because that has more swag to it, than Kimberly Clark. But whatever. So, are you guys from LA? Oh, cool. I have a huge crush on Gustavo Dudamel. Do you know who he is? He's the conductor for the LA Philharmonic. He is so hot to me. He's from Venezuela. He has these dimples and this curly hair, and he is so freaking cute. And I feel like I have a chance because, what kind of groupies do conductors have? Like I don't have to compete with anybody, And I got to see Gustavo for the first time at the Walt Disney Concert Hall. And I was sitting there, and Gustavo came out here on the tux, and he was looking good. And I was like, man, that's Gustavo right there. But I couldn't scream, because it wasn't like I was at a Jodeci concert. Like, you got to contain yourself when you're at the orchestra. You have to have that repressed joy. You know what I'm saying? It's like, I feel like they should have a mosh pit for people who want to express themselves when they go to the orchestra, like if they start playing Beethoven's Fifth Symphony or whatever, if you want to be like, that's my jam, or, I see you flute section, or if you want to go, oh, whatever you want to do, they should have a mosh pit where you can do it, because the LA Philharmonic, that's somebody's favorite band, and it's like, what do you do when you see your favorite band? You want to throw your hands in the air, but you can't do that at the LA Phil, at the Walt Disney Concert Hall. You'll get escorted out. Don't try it. It's not going to work out for you. I played the clarinet in elementary school. I guess that's considered a dork instrument, right? I wasn't a complete dork when I was 12, because at 12 I had a banging body. You know what I mean? Like I had a nice shape. And it was weird to hear a dude say, yo, did you see the ass on that clarinet player? Like, you're not supposed to talk about clarinet players like that. They're not supposed to be the sex symbol of the band, I never seen footage of Benny Goodman or Sidney Bechet shirtless, gyrating while they were tooting their clarinet. I never seen Benny Goodman set his clarinet on fire like Jimi Hendrix and start doing this, making love to his clarinet. Do I get a light? Oh, okay. How do you become an oboe player? Is that my light?
How do you? Tell me.
I have more for that.
All right. Well, come on over here and sit with us. Thanks, Kimberly.
Nice work.
Great job. Wow. Kimberly Clark. See, Alonzo?
Yeah.
Punch it up's good, huh?
Yeah, that was good.
Look at that shit.
That was good.
Do you have some things, ideas?
Yeah, actually, I do. Only because about 5 years ago, I became one of the old guys, where young comics come. I've been listening to you all my life, and they literally asked me questions that I remember asking the veterans when I started. So now you're getting advice from one of the old guys. All right. So it was very funny. I feel like one of the judges on Last Comic, which I've been. So I know.
Yes, you have.
I know. So the toilet paper opening was great. You might want to get to it quicker.
Okay.
Just, my name is Kimberly Clark. I'm not the toilet paper.
Okay.
Or something like that. You know what I mean?
Right
Like, yeah, get right. But the Georgia Pacific tag was hilarious. Don't interview the crowd.
Okay.
It doesn't matter if they're from LA. You have a crush on Gustavo, who is the leader of the LA Symphony or whatever. Just say it, because if they're from LA, they still don't know who he is.
Right.
You know what I mean?
It's true.
They don't. So
They didn't. Some of them.
So you know.
I don't know.
How long have you been doing this?
It's been almost 10 years actually.
Okay, so you've been around long enough. You're not a new comic, but
I'm not that new.
But yeah, interviewing the crowd, you know, it's fun, but it's like a tool to fill time. I do it, you know, but in that situation, just hit them, because the great thing about the whole classical music vibe and what you're doing, nobody else is doing it.
I've never heard it.
That's the great thing about it. So the stuff about Gustavo is great. Jodeci is a great reference.
Thank you.
It's a great reference because everyone knows who Jodeci is, but nobody talks about Jodeci anymore. So whenever you can bring up something like that, whenever you can use a reference like that, it's great. The mosh pit bit is great. The only thing I would tag, like you first described, like you described the mosh pit and this and that, and to be like, I recommend it to the symphony, but then they reminded me their fans can't get up.
Okay.
You know, once they're in the mosh pit, they're pretty much down for the day. They, you know, because you can make it an old folks joke.
Yeah.
Right? And then the thing about you being a clarinet player, and did you see the ass on a clarinet player and stuff like that, you could tie that into the symphony thing somehow, of the sex appeal. Like there's sex appeal in the symphony, but you know what I mean? But you can't. So in other words, being a clarinet player with a nice ass has no future. Like the nicest ass clarinet player is just
means nothing.
It's not going to do anything for
Just
your
means
clarinet career.
nothing. Now, a nice ass on an oboe player, now.
Well,
you know,
yeah,
I don't know.
any of that is good. And I'll just tell you a side story on that that's really funny. Marcus Miller, who is this phenomenal jazz and R&B bass player and music
You know
writer.
him personally?
Yeah, Marcus is a friend
I'm
of mine.
so jealous.
Marcus, you know Marcus. You don't think you know Marcus?
Oh.
Marcus was Luther Vandross' musical director. So every Luther Vandross song you heard, Marcus wrote the music.
Wow.
Marcus is that good.
Yeah.
So when Marcus, I said, how come you never played fusion? Because Stanley Clark's the other great jazz player. Marcus said, when I started out, I played fusion, and I looked in the audience, it was all guys. And I said, screw this shit, I'm going to R&B. He said, ain't no women listening to fusion. So just like having an ass on a clarinet player, being a fusion bass player is the same thing. But no, I think that's great. Those two, you definitely can tie those two together. But you have something there that's great. Anytime I hear a premise or a situation that I don't hear anyone else doing, I love it.
Love it too. Yeah.
So the idea of making the symphony funny and making yourself a fan of Gustavo and all, that's great.
I had an idea on the conductor groupies. Like, what if, like, you tell us why you actually, like, you want to be with a conductor? Like, because he will tell you exactly what to do.
That.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
you know,
like they're not.
I like the stick, you know, and I love to be told what to do. Or
Like, I would compare him to like NBA ball players, like how women are always chasing after them, but Gustavo is worth over $1 million. And it's minus the baby mamas, minus the STDs. Like, I
less
have,
competition, man.
right?
Yeah.
And not, lower maintenance.
And you can also just like after you do that, oh shit, I don't want. Now they know.
Now don't tell anyone.
Yeah, now you just invited the competition.
Right,
I like that. I like that.
So yeah, and then I also went to the mosh pit thing too. I think there's more there. Like, what does a mosh pit look like for the orchestra? Like, maybe it's just not as exciting. I mean, you could go to the orchestra. The orchestra is already a mosh pit.
Right.
Like where the orchestra sits in the, or in a musical anyway, the orchestra sits in the mosh pit.
Right.
But no one goes down there. Or I don't know. There was just some more. I think there's a lot to the mosh pit of an orchestra. And
the fact that they have to build a handicap ramp down to the mosh pit kind of ruins the effect. The fact that there's a ramp down, there's no stage diving. Just you ease down the ramp.
I doubt it, right? That's funny.
my mind went too on the sexy clarinet butt player. I just thought band camp. Like it's kind of new meaning to the word band camp, or just something about that whole. I love that premise too, and the whole orchestra thing. Definitely stick with it. And I've seen you before. I never heard that bit. Is it new?
It's not that new, but I've been slowly, gradually adding things onto it.
Yeah,
so it's
that's meaty. And what happens? What does a wedding look like when you marry a conductor? Right. I don't know. There's all those elements.
Different ways I can go with it.
Yeah,
dating
it can also
conductor.
be something that turns on you.
Oh.
Like it sounds like a good idea until you realize he wants to tell you what to do all the time.
Right.
You know.
Orchestrate everything.
Yes, he's always pointing, man. It's awful.
Right.
I loved it. Josh, do you have anything?
The big thing is, what I think you're always good at is it never sounds to me like you're telling a joke. It just sounds, you're really good about being conversational and just talking to us. And that's, I don't know, that's something like
hard
I'm striving.
to do.
Yeah, it's hard to do, something I'm striving toward, and I think, I feel like that as long as that spirit is there, I mean, you're great.
Thank you.
So.
Thanks, Kimberly. Thanks for joining us. I hope it was helpful.
Yes, I appreciate it. I used to work at the Laugh Factory too.
Ooh, what did you do there?
I used to work in the office with Jamie, and I used to also manage the club. But I remember seeing you there.
I didn't know you were a manager there.
Yeah.
Managers don't last long with Jamie.
No.
Right?
No,
Jamie.
I didn't.
I love Jamie.
I'm
Jamie's
proud to
a
say
character.
we've had our manager, William Nickerson, since day one here at Flappers.
That's cool.
Yeah,
No, it's no
I
knock
hope
against the
that's a sign.
managers.
I know what
I
you're
love
saying.
Jamie. Jamie's nuts, though. He's a character.
Clubs
It
are
was a good
crazy.
experience though. But I remember
Yeah.
seeing you there, so it's an honor to sit next to you.
See how old I am? It's an honor.
What?
I
didn't mean it like
She
that.
said
listen.
your honor,
No.
not your.
Listen, I'm fine with that. I'm okay. It doesn't bother. I find it hilarious
Age
because you never
creeps up
think
on
of
you
yourself
quickly.
that way. But yeah, I'm in that group now. It's all right because I remember when I can remember shit about comedy. Like we were talking out front. When I went to New Faces in Montreal, they were making deals. Like I left with a huge check. That ain't gonna happen anymore. And I like to remind the young comics that I made a lot of money doing this. You won't.
Thanks for being inspiring, Alonzo. I'm
I
sure
help.
Kimberly's off and ready.
It's an
now.
honor.
Thank you, Kimberly. Great job. Oh my gosh, Alonzo, that was awesome. Thanks so much for
Absolutely.
it. Really, I think helps.
She's good.
It's amazing.
And the other thing that Kimberly does that a lot of young comics, and I say young, she's been in it 10 years, so she's a comic, but she writes.
Yeah, she does.
And a lot of comics don't. A lot of comics think you don't have to or whatever, and I'm always impressed. I like comics who write.
I saw too. You were taking notes on your phone.
Yeah,
You
more
record
and more I write stuff on my iPhone just because it's easier to carry and I have it with me all the time. So yeah, I use my notes there. I don't talk to Siri. Siri's a bitch.
Oh, I hate Siri. She doesn't even
She's
understand
useless.
me
Siri,
whatsoever.
Siri's all but useless, so I don't talk to her. I type it in with my thumbs.
Excellent. Well, you guys, Alonzo is here this weekend. Like we said, July 4th, we're actually open. So come and join us for a 7 o'clock show and then a 10:30 show. So we gave you that nice fireworks window, so still time to get your butt down here and enjoy a show before or after the fireworks. Also Saturday the 5th, Alonzo is here in Burbank, and who do we have in Claremont, Josh?
Rob Rasner, comedian magician.
Amazing magician, actually. Was on Third Rock from the Sun, too. So we're doing and same show times in Claremont out there.
No, 7 and 9:30.
7 and 9:30. Okay,
Yes.
yeah, we're giving a little more time in Burbank, I think, on
Right,
Friday.
correct.
So we have great shows all week. Thank you so much, Alonzo
Thank you,
Bodden,
Barbara.
for
It was
joining
fun.
us.
And you too, Josh. You're great.
He's a character,
He adds a lot.
isn't he?
He does.
Yeah. Hey guys, don't forget to download our Flap app too. And if you're listening tonight, we have Whitney Cummings and Bobby Slayton dropping in to our show at 8 o'clock tonight, the Celebrity Drop-In Tuesdays. So please keep supporting Flappers, and thanks so much for listening to the FlappCast. I'm Barbara Holliday.
I'm Joshua Snyder.
And this was
Alonzo Bodden.
Thanks you guys. Bye-bye.
At Alonzo Bodden on Twitter.
Oh yes. I know, usually I got that. Oh.